This is Plastic Adventures.
Hey everybody, the other side of the screen, and we're getting to do something today we haven't done in a long time. It's a Plastic Adventures sandbox, the catch-all for opinions from the wise old balding toy gurus that 8 people listen to. Uh, but like even sometimes just like run out of stuff to talk about. So it was like a week or so ago, and I think something that we're going to discuss today had refiltered in social media or something, and it just made us say WTF. Like WTF, man. Uh, so today's sandbox is going to be WTTF. What the toy F?
What the toy
And
F? Yeah, and
this
when
is
we
this
say
is
what the toy F, I mean sometimes it's really what the F because or more like what were they thinking? Like were the marketing people sitting around the table and went, "This is a great idea." That's what we're going to talk about.
right. And also, there's going to be a few things that we're going to bring up that might not necessarily have been some foobar thing that happened from the toy manufacturer. It could be a reaction that people had to something,
Yeah.
but it's still like WTTF. Seriously?
Yeah, and you know what? I'll start it off with the one that actually kind of started off this.
Well, first I would like to say
Oh,
several of these fall into a specific category. And I don't know if we need to lump a bunch of them into one or we just get to talk about this unfortunate action feature or sculpting nuance.
we're just gonna do it. Mom, hide your kids, because this is gonna get crazy.
Right. Okay. Okay. Let's rock, dude.
All
Let's just
right.
get
So
dirty
yeah,
right
so
now.
it was a couple of days ago, and it was indeed something that I saw on Facebook that somebody posted, and I remember, you telling me about this figure before, and I posted it in this little thread that me and Steve and this our other friend have. And it just really, de-evolved quickly into a bunch of jokes that we can't share here because we don't want to get kicked off. But it did kind of bring up the idea of like, you know what? There's more of these figures out there. And so this first one is the what's the actual thing? I don't know what it is.
So this is I know where you're going. This
Yeah.
is Toy Biz Marvel was crossing over with Transformers, and this would have been in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And just by saying that, anybody watching the show already knows what this figure is going to be because tragically, it there is a design flaw built in, which somewhat, uh,
A huge design flaw, would we say?
yeah, a gigantic throbbing design flaw uh, built into the figure. It's Toy Biz's Punisher Transformer. Now,
Yes.
okay, I love the Punisher. That's like one of my favorite comic book characters. And who doesn't, Frank Castle's such a refreshing turn away from like the goody goody superhero like there was this huge rise to the Wolverines or the anti-heroes in the 90s, and like Punisher led the way with like umpteen damn comic book series all running at
I
the
know.
same time. So what do you think the Punisher would turn into if he was a transformer?
Oh, gee, I don't know. Maybe a gun?
An effing gun, right? Yeah, so you can kind of contort this multi-jointed action figure into it's the rough shape of a firearm.
It is.
Unfortunately, one of the steps of transformation places the barrel of the firearm right in the crotchal
Right,
area.
right, right square, right
And
there.
you cannot tell me, like we've seen G1 Megatron, right, with the tragically placed trigger. If you don't close up the hips on the figure, you got this like um incredibly phallic trigger hanging down, and
But for the Punisher, the designer had to know. Like when
yeah.
they were
So
making it.
but the point is, like, you close Megatron up and it's within the robot.
Sure.
This thing is like a full out gun barrel, like
Yeah.
sticking out off of the Punisher's very lower torso, resulting in a configuration that only like seriously appeals to the most hardcore of NRA people. Um, I mean, it's like they should have called this thing the Penisher.
I was gonna say you got to say what it was called because that's like the perfect name for it.
Like, there's no going back. There
No,
is no fixing this. And like, taking it a step further, like he shouldn't be Frank Castle. It should be like Frank Hardcastle. I mean, seriously,
there's so
this
many
is
jokes and so many things that can come out of this. It's crazy. And if you don't know, if you're one of the few people from our age who's a toy collector who does not know about this one, do yourself a favor, go look it up. You're gonna laugh. And maybe share it along with your wife. I think she'll have a good laugh too.
yeah. And you know what's really screwed up? You showed me the eBay listings for this thing. And this toy that was a peg warmer back in the day
I
is
know.
like $100 to get the figure now because it's become such a subculture thing, like, oh my God, there's the Penisher.
I'm not gonna
Uh,
pay $100 for that. I'm glad somebody is, not me, but I will laugh at it all day.
like, come on, Toy Biz designer. Is this why Marvel went away from you? Come on now.
The great Toy Biz era. I love those things. I know a lot of people are like, I don't like them. I love those guys. They're great.
You know that there's a lot of positive to say about them. Lord of the Rings ain't one of them, but
No.
like lots of other stuff they did was terrific for the time, and it was they really rescued us from a certain era of overly muscled and less articulated action figures. So we owe Toy Biz a break on the Penisher. That's
Well, that's going to segue into another one. So, since we're talking about genitalia, the females of the species do not get away with this because there was another toy that was created. The Ultraman toy line? Everybody knows Ultraman, right?
Ultraman, like
From Japan.
Ultraman, the kaiju
Yeah,
Ultraman.
yeah, and how he
Right,
would
yeah.
fight against these different monsters and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah.
wonderful things.
Cool as
Okay,
hell.
well,
I love that Ultraman. I'm not a big fan of like Ultraman from the comics, but
no, I'm
Ultraman,
talking specifically the older Ultraman line, where he
yeah.
was fighting giant monsters. Well, one of them thought that making this giant monster was a great idea, and people are scratching their head where the design from this one came from. I'm pretty sure it's clear where this one came from because it's basically Godzilla's body and female genitalia on his head. It doesn't like you can't miss it. You can't miss it. And they put this thing in a package and sold it to children.
Well, I don't think that like a child seeing that in another country was gonna like burn their life down like it was perceived here in America, like it's still there's such a phobia of the naked body here, but
No, but
um
you get what I'm saying? Like it's like one of those things. It's like where did this guy get his inspiration? I wonder.
well, a lot of those like kaiju live action TV shows, I won't say a lot, but I know there's been at least a few where there have been a female villain or hero that did feature projectiles out of the upper torso. And we're not like talking like the Guyver where it opens up and there's this cool laser beam. I mean, we're talking like
We're talking
this is
fembot,
this is
right?
the reason why your parents tell you not to stare at that and it's inappropriate. Like, yeah, this is like Austin Powers style fembots type of a
Yep.
thing happening there, right? Okay. Uh,
But yeah, so when I was looking for things, I was like, when I came across this one, I was like, are you kidding me? They did this? No, they knew what they were doing. That is
I
not
I would really like to know what the name of it was because we've
it
got
was.
Ghidorah, and I'm sure that there's a few play on words or Ghidorus. I don't know. Anyways,
Oh my God. I should have took a screenshot of it. Dang it, I did not. But I'm telling you right now, that thing is it type in Ultraman Kaiju female. You won't be disappointed. You will laugh.
all right. Well, I got one that's a shame on you collectors for making this thing popular
Uh-oh. Which one is
because
it?
the toy is actually tremendous for its time, but uh, it was tragically a factory error. I'm not sure if you really ever remember the hubbub about a Spawn figure that was called Party Girl Angela.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Okay. Yes.
Angela is this terrific, tragic character from Spawn. It's his love and he loses her. The figure was so good. I mean, like those Spawn figures, the first wave was kind of okayish back in the day, but they just got like the sculpting got crazy good. Angela's a great figure, but
They left the
uh,
part
she
out.
had she has like this, flowing skirt thing, and the corrected figure does feature undergarments which are painted on.
Hmm.
This figure did not.
Nope.
And I can remember going into the comic book store multiple times, and they would be like, "Hey, we just got a couple more Party Girl Angelas if you want them." And I'm like, "Well, um, I'm not into your hentai section that you've got here, and I'm not really into my action figures needing to be anatomically correct or missing paint apps. So there's a whole list of like sweaty guys that don't wear deodorant that shop here that will come and purchase that figure from you. But like, come on, collectors. How
Yeah.
many guys were out there? They got this package like on card and they're flipping the package,
To see
flipping the
which one they
package
got.
to see
Oh.
if Angela's party girl or not. So,
So,
uh,
so believe it or not, okay, so we'll jump back onto the Toy Biz bandwagon here because Toy Biz did the same thing with the Lord of the Rings. And the funny thing about this one, I did look this one up. So Galadriel, great looking figure, long white flowing gown, has absolutely nothing going on underneath. And I would give them the benefit of the doubt being like, oh, it's Barbie doll, right? Like you Barbie doll, you put the clothes on, you're supposed to do whatever. Okay, well, they put their clothes on, everything is there.
so
And
did this figure feature cloth or like plastic goods that
it
were
was
laid over a
plastic
body?
goods. It was
Okay.
plastic goods. And like I said, they would get a pass, except they painted everything. Everything. And like you don't paint things down there if you're not going to want people to see it. Like you just leave it plastic. You knew what you were doing, Toy Biz. You were
Come
expecting people
on.
to do this. And it was totally and yeah, they stopped selling those ones.
Well, shame on you,
I
Toy
know,
Biz.
Toy Biz, man.
Shame
Come
on
on.
you. That
Toy
sounds
Biz.
pretty intentional.
I'm thinking they're marketing. They're guys.
Yeah, that gets less of a pass than Penisher.
Yeah. They knew that's what I'm saying. They knew what they were doing. It's not like you like,
Yeah.
oh, we're just, leave it unpainted because you're not supposed to. No, you painted. You did the airbrushing and everything.
And there are plenty of these Japanese imports, these vinyl dolls and stuff. If people are into that,
Buy
where
that. Yeah.
just get that. But come
Yeah.
on, man.
All right.
Oh,
Anyway, we'll
okay.
get off that.
Okay. Uh, okay. Mego Pocket Heroes. You're on my list, Mego. Okay. Pocket Heroes was this scaled down, like 5 points of articulation figure. And they sort of accompanied at the time a pretty revolutionary Mego. What were Megos, like 6-inch scale or something like that?
Yeah, they had the Marvel ones and
Cloth outfits, and
Mhm.
they were just like hyper articulated, like they were tremendous for when they came out.
Absolutely.
Pocket Heroes were like a more Star Warsy type of a thing, but there's like Spider-Man, Batman, and Robin, and the sculpting on the front, one of their arms is forward like this.
Oh no.
It's
Oh
got a hole in the, it's got a
oh
hole.
no.
It's not a fist.
Oh no.
Hole there. And almost no matter how you slice it, when that arm is at rest, it. I don't know if we name this subcategory masturbatic action or what, but like that's a
Is
figure
there
that
another
belongs
word for
in
it?
that category. Now, I have a Jerkin Spider-Man on my shelf, but it's too deep. I would pull it out and show it to you guys to prove it. But all you got to do is just search Mego Pocket Heroes. I think that the idea was you were supposed to put a piece of string through here,
And they were
but
slide.
their arms were not up here. It's like
Yeah.
here. So that when you rotate at the shoulder, there's only one height that arm drops down to. And then the arms get super floppy and loose because the plastic would like, wear out super fast. So, I don't know if there was ever a more blatant sculpt that maybe like the in living color sketch that Jim Carrey did when he was Pee Wee Herman and he's
Oh, that...
in disguise, and he had the long hair and it was the kung fu karate spanking action or whatever it had.
Well,
But
the only
like,
other one I can think of that kind of goes along with that is the Conan, the 90s Conan action figure. I mean,
oh yes,
that one was worse because it actually had like a pull string action and it was
oh god, that figure went to town. I mean, at a minimum, like the arms, it was so weird. Like your figures, if this is your arms, your articulation does this thing, right?
right.
And then at the shoulder, this thing.
Not
The
that
arms
one.
on this figure, they're like turned in to where they go like this. And yeah, Doug, you have one, right?
Oh,
Like
I yeah, of course, of course.
okay, yeah, I got one because there's like nothing for Conan figures, but it was incredibly fast to discover that if you pull on that string, I mean, he goes at it.
It just
Like,
goes to town.
I mean, it even makes like this awful like plastic slapping sound as it's going. So it's a
Oh,
pretty rough toy. I mean, you can say that oh we didn't know when we made that figure because his arms are supposed to be straight and it's
sure.
supposed to go like
Mhm.
this. Oh,
Okay.
just like this. Okay, perfect, great. You guys are not complicit at all in that. Uh,
Oh man. Sorry, YouTube. Okay, away from toys, everybody knows this one, but it's got to be one that you have to bring up because it's a classic. I think everybody knows this one. The C3PO tape dispenser. Do you remember this one?
no,
Okay, it's a ceramic C3PO tape. Okay, so when Star Wars was coming out, uh,
wait,
they did
wait,
not
wait,
have a
wait,
lot
wait.
of, you know,
Okay,
action figures and stuff going on. So they tried to do quick and easy things that they could do, right? So ceramics was very quick and easy to do. So they set out a lot of these school supplies, folders, and things like that. Well, one of the things that they gave out was a C3PO tape dispenser. And you're like, hey, that's kind of cool. I'll put this on my desk. The only problem with this is that C3PO is in a lounging position, and the tape dispenser is between his legs, and you've got to pull him out to pull the tape out. And yeah, it's a
was
collector's item for sure. Yeah,
was
they're hard
that
to find, but they're hard to find not because like everybody wanted them, it's because of the story behind them now, and that's why they're so hard.
yeah, they should have marketed it as C3POH.
C3PO.
Yeah, God, I now remember that. Uh, and I remember the infamous trading card that surfaces now and again online where it's just like a trick of the light, but
No, it actually was not. Do you not know the story behind that card?
no, I thought it was just a trick of the picture
No,
photography they
sir.
took and
No,
it made
no.
it look like,
It was a disgruntled Tops employee who quit after this run, but he hid that. He did that. He put that on there, and
oh,
it's it was meant. He meant that to happen. So
that's another C3PO.
yeah, exactly it
Okay,
is. And so
I
when they
never
found
knew
out that
that.
what that was, and after they'd already released a couple 100,000 of these cards, which had ended up in landfills and stuff by now, but so any remaining ones are worth a lot. But they did put out a corrected version of that that does not have that goldenrod.
How far have we come? Like as a society, you don't see that kind of stuff anymore. It gets caught,
It does. It does.
right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, you guys let them through. Give the internet something to talk about.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy. I never knew that, dude. I thought it was just some weird like trick shot. They used a bad photo and no one thought about it
No, it was
because
intentional. It just wasn't intentional from Tops.
great. I'm going to bring this one up really quickly because I don't think you're terribly familiar with them. But when we're thinking about action figures and, we're getting out of the 80s and into the early 90s, action feature heavy, like
Mhm.
spring loaded things that they would do. really kind of like brought on by Masters of the Universe. Everybody is very familiar, I think, with Hasbro's WWF figures, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great. So they have like Hulk Hogan had a bear hug one, and one that has the hands like this, and you could throw another wrestler, and
Yeah.
the feature with the fist where you like pull back at the shoulder and it
They can
shoots forward
punch.
to
Yeah.
punch. Yeah. So that's like heavy. Um, I had to lump this in, and I love them, and I had them as a kid, but like WCW had a line of figures that could kind of play with Hasbro's, but they were like static position hard rubber that didn't bend.
Oh,
They
they
were
had no
wrestlers,
action to them.
wrestling action figures who had no ability to do any action. And to make it worse, like at least some of them, their arms would be positioned out, right? So
Okay.
you could kind of do something. But there were some like Ron Simmons and Butch Reed where it's like one hand is here on the chest, one hand is flexing the bicep. How do you do anything with that?
It's
And
like an
and like
unnatural pose, right? It's an
the
unnatural pose, and you can't play.
they are unplayable. And at least you could say about the big rubber wrestlers from LJN, the WWF line,
Mhm.
they were like bendable. You could move them around and
A
and
little
wrestle
bit.
with them. But like Galoob decides to put out these very very hard plastic static posed figures
Yeah.
that don't wrestle. God, it's like no wonder you could go to KB and get them like 3 for 10 at the time. Uh, so yeah, I've always wondered what the decision was to make them that way. I mean, at a bare minimum, articulate them at the shoulders or something and have some element of
But these
play.
ones
But
didn't have articulation, right? They were just
they
straight
were
up,
solid slugs, dude.
just solid.
Solid
Yeah.
slugs. They probably had better paint apps than Hasbro's figures did, like overall.
Mhm.
And the sculpts were actually really, really good at the time. But uh, they were just like wrestlers that didn't wrestle. So,
Like Transformers that don't transform.
oh, that's on the list. Yeah, you want to talk about Action Masters?
Yeah, let's do that. That was a good one.
Right. Um, what in the cocaine F were they thinking?
All right, so let me see if I can break this one down. So Action Masters were the Transformers toy line had gone a couple of years by now, right? We're into like what is it, 4 years,
88, I think.
or we're later than that. So and they're looking for ways to keep Transformers fresh. Let's keep it fresh. Let's keep it playable. And uh, was this before or after the Pretenders?
This would have come after the Pretenders. This is like kind
Okay,
of
so
my
they had a flop on their hand with Pretenders, and they thought, hey, you know what? Let's double down.
yeah, yeah, hold my Coke. Yeah.
Let's double down on this, and let's give you some Transformer action figures that don't transform. They're just guys. They're just the little things.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the idea was they were going to give you these sculpts that were supposed to be more cartoon accurate, and then they still varied wildly.
They look
And
disproportionate. I don't know how many of the move. I know that their arms were movable. Were their legs?
yeah,
Okay.
stand by.
So like I said, I know they had some articulation. I know their head can move. I knew their arms can move,
Okay,
but I didn't know
so
if their legs could move. But they're still like, yeah, look at this. Like, you,
because I collect Optimus Prime, obviously I had to have this one. You see him
yeah,
okay?
yeah. I mean, he's an action figure, sure, yeah. But
Okay, shoulders. The head does technically move.
mhm.
And then you had that interesting T-bar thing, the GI Joe T-bar at the legs, and they do bend at the knees.
Oh, okay.
So the
So,
idea was you could seat him in a vehicle that transformed. I don't know if they were like trying to go the GI Joe route because this is about the size of a Joe. Obviously, we're missing some paint apps on the legs here.
well, I just don't know if they thought that Transformers was just too difficult, and let's just make them not transform.
Yeah, I can't tell you what the inspiration was for this line other than like if they thought, well, GI Joe is still strong, let's make Transformers be GI Joe, where they or I mean the success of Mask, obviously, with the transforming vehicles, but the cool thing about Mask is the vehicles looked like models off of
Yeah.
that you would buy, right? And when you had the car, it was like almost indiscernible that it transformed into anything. Optimus Prime had a truck with guns sticking out
Yeah,
everywhere, and
I
it
know.
was like orange and blue and gray. Uh, none of this stuff looked like a disguised vehicle. So um, I
No,
don't know.
but you know what? They didn't end there
Oh,
because
they did not.
flash forward however many years, and Hasbro thought, you know what? Let's revisit this idea. So G.I. Joe Classified doing really, really good. And then they're like, hey, let's do the same thing to Transformers. Let's do this robot enhanced design.
Yeah, let's do Transformers Black Series. Yeah,
Yeah, that don't transform. Yeah, so I mean, they look good on your shelf. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty cool looking.
they
But it
do.
just kind of seems really silly to me to have Transformers that do not transform. Like, I get that they're characters, but if it's a toy, make it do the thing.
Yeah,
That's
and that
my
line didn't last very long. I mean, they immediately started getting into repaints. There were some like beautiful looking figures, but again, this is one of those things where you're like, the hell am I looking at here?
yeah.
I think you have the Shockwave, don't you?
I actually got them all, most of them because they were $5 at Ross, and so
Oh,
I mean,
right.
even a
Okay.
train wreck you're going to buy for $5. So I did,
Yeah, yeah.
and like I said, they're not bad looking if you're just looking at them on the shelf. But if you were to give this to like your 8-year old, just be like, "Here's a transformer." That's not a transformer. You don't transform.
Yeah,
It
I,
runs
I
in,
bought both Optimus Prime and Megatron at Ross for like 5.99 a
yeah.
piece, yeah. But you're 100% right. Like you give the toys to these kids and half of what the toy line's predicated on it doesn't do.
It doesn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, for those action figures, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So here is a shame on the designer and shame on the company for putting this thing out. Uh, we don't see a lot of like really bad dog turd sculpts. Not tons. I mean, a little bit of Toy Biz, Lord of the Rings here and there, and that was probably more for paint apps than anything.
Sure.
But I'm gonna revisit one that I know you love, and you've been recollecting some of these things. But
I
come
had a
on,
feeling
man,
you were going to go down this route.
Power of the Force, Princess Leia,
I had a
or
feeling.
shall I say, Planet of the Apes Force, Princess Leia. It's like the ugliest Princess Leia that's ever been sculpted.
Okay, so I do love Power of the Force, and unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I don't know what else to call her other than Monkey Face Leia because you look at her and it's like this looks nothing like print, like nothing.
Yeah,
Like even the old Kenner one was like so much better than
yeah.
this one.
It's like you can go back 10 years on sculpts of other figures. You can look at like let's admit it, man, like original GI Joe.
Mhm.
The female sculpts were not terrific that they did, but they still looked like
Yeah, no,
not like Princess Leia.
yeah, I don't know where they were, and then they actually went down. The further the line got, they started to do more likeness, right?
Yeah.
So they marketed to some of their fiction. You know, looks more like Luke Skywalker. Looks more like, and they kind of fixed those. And I think what they did was they went down another route and they tried to make the features not as detailed.
Yeah,
And so
well, you
I
know,
think it kind of worked in their favor to do that because they did kind of slim down the faces. They still don't look anything like Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher or anything like that. And it's kind of hard to do in that scale at that time.
it took them like two years into the line, and they
Yeah.
started producing some really good ones. But yeah, like to this day, I don't know how that one like escapes and goes into production. Not only were those figures like extremely hard to stand up, like
They
they were in
are.
these weird poses, but like
Well, that
Luke's
was a
like this.
90s thing. That was in general like 90s. What was the entire 90s thinking for their action figures to give us these non-articulated action figures that stood in these weird like their legs were bent all the way apart, their arms were doing these weird things and it was like there's you can't play with these. These are just sculptures that have happen to
Oh yeah,
have
like GI Joe Extreme, which I don't think even had leg articulation.
yeah.
I think they were articulated at the torso and the shoulders and the neck. But it was just like this crazy muscled up crap. And if you even put like one of their accessories in their hand over the toy tips,
Yes.
like they can't stand.
Yep.
It's just crazy. Catwoman from the Batman Returns or the Dark Knight collection. You remember the first Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman is in
Right.
this weird pose. She cannot stand. I've got one on my shelf that I'm looking at right now, and she just leaned up against
She's
the
just
thing
leaned up
behind me.
against the wall.
Yeah, yeah. But that's
Well,
still like at least that toy looks good. Holy, what the hell with that Princess Leia?
well, and on top of that, the 90s have a different flavor. I actually love some of the 90s figures, but they were also heavy into a lot of the toy lines. G.I. Joe was guilty of this. Star Wars was guilty of this. Where you'd have the action figure in their stupid dumb pose with their hand like this, and they would have like a gun that was 4 times the size of
Yeah,
the, and like, what are you
yeah,
trying to show here? Like that, and it would be like a 9 millimeter, and they'd hold it, and it would be like this giant.
yeah. And it had a 2-inch spring-loaded projectile that goes into it. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
like
supposed to be a
what?
sidearm. Yeah, yeah. I
And
get
and
it.
and that's like I said, it wasn't just GI Joe. Like a lot of the 90s action figures, if they had any kind of action accessory, that thing was huge.
Uh, okay.
We're running
I
out of
don't know
time,
if
so
I'm going
let's
to
go.
keep.
Give us a good one.
Yeah. Okay, I got two more on the list, and we're going to go to one that I know collectors go wild for, and they really want this.
Mhm.
It is so dumb. Like, and this is in a line of figures where the action features were crazy, spread
Yeah.
out at all directions. Who decided that you should get half of an action figure that spins around like a top?
Oh, are we talking
I'm
about
talking about
Masters of the Universe?
Twistoid and Rotor from
Oh,
Masters of the Universe.
that's not the Masters of the Universe I thought you were going, but yeah, totally.
No, like, okay, so
What
Masters
about the
has got,
He-Man that's like sliced across the?
okay, that was a weird articulation cut. I get that, but the figure, like itself, is kind of a cool looking figure from the line without having like the anime slash through his upper torso. Twistoid and Rotor, it's like these bulky guys that looked kind of like Ram Man, but then they had no legs. And you spin them around, they're just tops that spin around.
They're like the grandfather to Beyblade.
They sort of are. I
Yeah.
mean, like they're cooler than a Beyblade, but uh, that's not setting the bar that high.
No, it's really not.
What what was Mattel thinking? Like what kids don't play with tops. They didn't back then. We were done with tops. That's why we had
Yeah.
Star Wars. We were done
So
with the stick. That's why we had Transformers and GI Joe and all this stuff. And they're like, you know what kids would be into? Two fat spinning top action figures that can't do anything but that.
oh
Okay,
geez.
Ram Man, he gets like 2 points of articulation, but he has this feature, right? You condense him,
Yeah.
you press on the lever, and he shoots forward like a battering ram, and you get it, and he can stand there. And he can sort of battle with other figures if you move his arms around.
Dude,
So
I remember being jazzed about Ram Man when I saw the commercial. I really did. I liked him.
I liked him in the cartoon. Probably not good for my the health of my vertebrae because in imitating Ram Man, I would run and jump head first into the couch. But
Hey, He-Man. Who
oh,
wants
that's
to
not
open
very.
this door?
That doesn't fly these days either. But yeah,
Oh.
like was there worse figures released in the early to mid '80s than Twistoid and Rotor?
Yeah, there
Um,
were the Rock Lords from
F
Ghost.
that. The Rock Lords transformed into
Well,
something.
that's true, but they transformed into a rock, dude. And
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
care what anybody says.
Yeah,
That was
okay.
not a
It's
cool idea.
no, that's lame too. That's lame too. But at least the Rock Lord they finished them. They have legs. What
Rock,
does
man.
Twistoid and Rotor do when they're at the villain or the hero meetings? Like All right, everybody, take a seat. Twistoid, lay on the ground. Like,
Quick,
what?
everyone, the villains are coming. Transform.
Or, hey, hey, Twistoid. God dang it! I left my meeting notes in the car. Here's my keys. Will you go? Never mind. Never mind. Can you do anything other than lay there until it's time to spin? Hmm.
No, I
Either
mean,
that's genius, and you're the least active hero that does anything, or I'm sorry, but like whatever God created you is tragically flawed and has a dark sense of humor.
I mean, at least you pulled the string and they did something. They spun around. Rock Lords they went from robots to rocks, and there's nothing exciting about that. The only thing that could have been less exciting was if they turned into plants. Like, I'm
Plant lords.
plant lords. Yeah, I'm not down to it. I still not down with rock lords. I think they're freaking lame. I had one
They
and
are. I
they were
have one.
sorry. Sorry, I have standards, GoBots. Give me Scooter.
GoBots are cool as hell.
They actually
But no, Rock Lords, they suck. They suck. What the hell were you thinking, Tonka? Like somebody convinced. Well, oh God, it's the same person. Oh my
did that
God.
Masters of the Universe rock on?
No, those were just like bigger Rock Lords with no
Bigger
metal.
rock lords.
So they either copied that playbook, or some guy's sitting back there and he's like, you know, I'm the guy that said to pass on using the name Transformers. I'm gonna effing rock it with this one.
Rock.
Rock Lords, mic drop,
Boom.
boom. Kids throw rocks. They don't like each other. Robots fight. Cocaine, Rock Lord, make it happen. And we're going to just wipe the mat with the Transformers. They're done.
Oh, I
The
can see it
GoBots
now.
were Transformers. And then someone's like, that's too big of a name. Little kids are dumb. They'll never understand that.
No, but they thought they had something so good. They even went as far as making a movie, a full-on Rock Lord movie. They were behind marketing this, and they thought they had 100% hit on their hands. I know they did because the money that they put behind this thing, the entire line, the movie, the marketing push, they were expecting this to be a hit. And I
You know
don't
what
know,
this
did nobody in there stand up and go, "Hey, I don't think kids are gonna like rocks."
like all of the crap toys from the movie Big were better than the Rock Lords.
Yeah, I remember when it turns into a building. What else does it do? It's not
Yeah,
much
so does
fun.
Metroplex, but
Oh gosh.
differently and
Somebody
cooler.
remade that, by the way. They made the parts to 3D print that. Somebody wanted that in their collection.
That's kind of cool, man. Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
even have Rock Lords on my list, but they're officially on the list now
they're
for like
officially on the
WTF
list.
toys. The,
All
uh,
right. I don't think we've got enough time really to talk about another one. I think we're coming up on our minute thing, so
okay, well, I'll end it with just saying, uh, Toy Biz DC superheroes, shame the F on you. Like, come on, man. Those are superpowers that you knocked off like just so blatantly. But we don't got to talk too much about those. In fact, we were just happy to have everybody around hanging out while we dissed on all these bad toys, and I hope that everybody out there hates them as much as we do.
yeah, and we love to hate on WTF toys, but I still love them no matter what. Except unless you're Rock Lords, then I'm passing on you no matter what. But hey, if you
Man,
got some other WTF toys that we didn't discuss, put them in the comments. We'll discuss them with you. We can always add to the list of more what the heck were they thinking toys.
all
So,
right.
all
Well,
right,
I guess that's it
that's
for
it.
us.
That's it.
You see us out there hunting in the wild for toys. Come and tell us what your WTFs are. And yeah, hey,
We'll see everybody in the toy
look us
aisle.
up on Facebook. We got Plastic Adventures Toy Community, and Doug is the Toyman80s underscored over there on Instagram.
Yep, come pay us a visit. Peace out.